So, you want to know what X-cross means? Well, you see this X, right? And cross is basically an X too. And that's basically it. It's just X and another X. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Okay, not really. I know at least some of you are curious about the name, so... Alright, let's start. Hey guys, Dynamite X246 here. And boy, it's been a while since I did this. I honestly thought I was gonna do more of this year, but... well... making these isn't as easy as it looks. It takes time to make these discussions without making myself sound like a stuttering idiot. Plus the right subject to talk about. I mean, if you're gonna dedicate more than 10 minutes to talk about something on YouTube, it should be worthwhile, right? Well, this subject could be an interesting case. Because it's all about that certain project I've been doing ever since I started making videos on YouTube. Of course, it's Super Star Brothers X-Cross. This time I'm not gonna beat around a bush. I'm just gonna explain why I decided to make this and the whole meaning of it. But first, I'll have to rewind back 10 years ago. Now, if you saw my 10-year life story video already, you should know that Sonic and Etta and Eddie has been the first things that I grew a liking to personally. So much so to the point where I made up crossover stories between the two. But of course, I wouldn't see a true crossover of a lifetime not until I've seen Super Smash Bros. Brawl. With the amount of characters in the roster and even the Subspace Emissary story mode, it opened my eyes to how crossovers are truly grand epics on themselves. And after finishing Brawl, that gave me even more inspiration to work with. But being young as I am, I would go back and forth on how a crossover would go. And by the time that I got my YouTube account, I already had been through years of making different stories and how to make them. Plus seeing other people's own fan-made stories that inspired me to make this. And despite how ambitious it sounds, I at least want to make my own version of Super Smash Bros. Brawl's story, but structured like the classic comic book crossovers. But it would be long till I found out what to structure my story on. Throughout many years of my childhood, I would watch Sonic X every Saturday as much as I can. It was the show for me. And out of all the episodes that I deem memorable from this show, most of them came from the third season. The one where Sonic fought off a new enemy called the Metarex. It was completely different from the usual Sonic stories that I was used to back then. Also, later down the line, I would actually realize that this season's actually pretty dark. Like, it has genocide and a child being forced to be used as a tool. And it even shows plenty of death scenes. I mean, back in the early seasons, we see a lot of robots getting blown up and stuff. But here we see a plant creature get melted away in lava. Well, we don't really see that in the America version anymore, but in the Japanese version, we frickin' see it. And you thought the Shadow the Hedgehog game was edgy, huh? Plus a very depressing ending. At least for a show that was meant for kids. Now, after all these years, I don't usually place Sonic X at a high pedestal like I used to. But for some reason, I always found it weird that not a lot of people usually talk about this season in the Sonic community. Now, I know it isn't a perfect Sonic story, but I feel like there's a lot of interesting things that this season introduced that a lot of people take for granted. So basically, I want to remake the entire story of the Metarex saga. But even then, I thought it wouldn't be good enough. I want to add some stuff. Make it more than just a Sonic story. And that's when the inspiration of Brawl comes back. I want this to be a large crossover with Sonic being placed in the middle. The only question is what kind of characters I should add. But then it hit me. Sonic was the biggest part of my childhood nostalgia. So I thought, why not put other nostalgic pieces from my past for this project? Just as long as they would fit the storyline itself. But overall, this is basically my personal Super Smash Bros. Which is why I thought of the name Super Star Brothers. And the subtitle X-Cross is basically based on how Guilty Gear subtitled their games. So the only question now is, how do I make this? Being limited to what I currently have can make things pretty tricky for something as ambitious as this. But remembering some old YouTube videos back at 2006, I've seen plenty of videos with limited productions in them, and yet they were still able to hold my attention. One such example are videos made by Shadow759. When it comes to pure Sonic comedy, 759 basically had me covered on that for a while. His earliest videos were mostly him voicing a few cutscenes from Sonic games, or a few scenes from any Sonic cartoon, and basically creating his own personas in each of the characters, mostly a more satirical versions of them. And this was basically before the time I understood what parodies mean and stuff, so this was both surreal, but at the same time amusing. It's also pretty amusing that he basically changed the stories of most of the scenes he's redubbing and making them mostly hilarious. And for a long time, that's basically what I really wanted to do whenever I make a YouTube video. Later on, once he started to use Gmods or SFMs, he started to bring in a lot more original stories, and he proved that he could also do serious stories as well, with tons of thought put to them. That really inspired me on doing my own work. It's pretty cool to know how much this guy was able to evolve after all these years and still go strong. I would definitely like to talk to him one of these days. Maybe collab or something. Another fond memory that inspired me to do all this would be a Neon Genesis Evangelion Abridged series made by Quinata Productions. When I originally saw this, the original channel that holds the original episodes was already long gone. I was lucky enough to find a channel that just so happens to have the episodes. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I still consider the best Evangelion parody despite tons of other funny ones that people watch these days. And I admit they're funny, but I feel like they're missing something that this particular one has. I might explain this in full detail another time, but all I could say is it is very self-aware. It is also not afraid to bend the rules a lot, doing things most abridged series don't really do. And that really speaks to me inside. Doing something that sounds silly at first, but also at the same time pretty damn entertaining. And in my eyes, that's pretty much good enough for me to keep my interest. I guess you could say this is also how people got interested in Team 4 Star's content. Not just because of its level of humor, although that definitely helps. It's mostly how dedicated they are to their favorite shows, by adding their personal twist to it. Most particularly their Dragon Ball Z Abridged. They made a show that was made decades ago and made it new again with their own flair and humor. I mean, I doubt the community would have talked much about Super Android 13 movie without TFS and their ingenious trucker hat jokes. And this is basically my goal in all this. Well, 2 goals to be exact. One, I wanted to practice my editing skills before I move on to another thing that I want to do. And 2, simply put, I want to make all the old stuff that I really liked watching back then and make them new again. I know a lot of people may not understand or may not find interest in that, but this is mostly a personal project for me. When I first saw the Super Star Brothers videos I made, I perfectly see how flawed they are. I mean, I made some plentiful mistakes, but there are moments that make me feel accomplished on what I did, and those moments made me overlook most of the errors I made. That's mostly enough motivation I need to continue. And I know at least 1 or 2 people might find interest in this. I just have to continue and grow and see myself through this. Whether I get good or bad reception or no reception at all, at least I'll improve my editing skills so that my next project will be a lot better. So yeah, that's basically it on that. I hope you understand more about what I'm doing in this channel, and I haven't been quite as motivated as I wanted to be. But I am going to try and make more content, not just Super Star Brothers. I would also like to talk to you guys, if you can, in my Discord server. It would definitely motivate me to make more videos. Also, expect a lot of videos to be uploaded, because I've already been working on many videos for like the past month, so yeah. Also, look forward to the continuation of X-Cross at the beginning of April. And a certain video that might show up at the 1st of April. You'll find out. Also, be sure to follow me at Google+, I've been making tons of posts lately. And see you later. This is Dynamite signing out. Shut up.